Hi, I am Mary Hanley. I am with Elevate Your Health, and I'm here with Dr. Matt Davis, and we are going to talk a little bit more personal of some things that, like how we came to this place of being a little bit more natural to where, because like being a doctor, you don't think about doctors being like there's a whole different world between doctor and natural
Right.
typically. Like
Yep.
they're in two different places. It's not ever like all encompassed, which I think is better if we can kind of bridge this gap. But
Mhm.
a lot of doctors are not on that same bridge. So, how at one point do we go from being like fully doctor into like taking care of our families in a whole different way? I came to where I am and doing what I'm doing because of my kids and them being having so many different issues, and they have PKU, which they can't have protein or a tiny bit of protein. And so like it was something that we kind of were forced almost into,
Mhm.
but then I had to like start figuring out how to like look at things in a whole different light. And
Mhm.
so learning how to like they couldn't take cold medicine, they couldn't take um, a lot of other like if they ever got sick, then their levels go up, which
Mhm.
causes protein to like push out more into their body, and they were getting sicker. The levels were worse, and so they were really, really bad sick.
Mhm.
So it became kind of a need for us to learn different ways to take care of everybody. So
Right.
then we started doing oils, and things changed dramatically. And so then we met
Mhm.
about the time when we had just kind of started into this little
Mhm.
journey of doing that.
Mhm.
And then Michelle, his wife, was doing poultices and, and
Mhm.
creams and
Mhm.
things. It was super fun. And so it was just kind of a way that we ended up
Yep.
kind of meeting through that. So how did y'all kind of get going into a different direction and seeing that there was a different path that could
Yeah.
be?
So it has been interesting to kind of just look back over time and see the different little things that have kind of added up over time. So my background is with kind of traditional medicine. I went to medical school, got my MD degree, and then went and did orthopedic surgery training. And so I've worked as an orthopedic surgeon in a pretty standard medical setting for all of my career, whether that's seeing patients in the office, doing surgery, taking care of people in the hospital. Like that's kind of the world that I typically work in. But as my kids were younger, kids get sick, things happen, things come up. And as our family grew, it got to be more and more challenging
Mm-hmm.
to take the kids to the pediatrician if they were sick. I'm at work. My wife's got a bunch of kids at home with her. So when someone gets sick, it's like, okay, we're going to do everything that we can to try to deal with this ourselves because going to the pediatrician is a major ordeal. It's not just
Yeah.
hop in the car
Yeah.
and run up to the office. And then you take them up there to get checked out, and then you come home with three more illnesses
Exactly.
because everybody
Because
in the
everybody
waiting
else
room
is
was
sick.
exposed to some grunge or something. So some of this was just out of necessity. Some of it was just people that we knew. So people
Mm-hmm.
like you would talk about, as we're at different activities with our kids, the moms are over there socializing and getting to know each other and
Mm-hmm.
talking about things. And so different stuff would come up in conversation and be like, oh, well, we did this and that helped with such and such. A lot of my kids played sports and football in particular. And they come home from games on Friday night just black and blue.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just getting punished out there. And so Saturday morning, we were getting up, and I'm gonna inspect them and examine them to make sure that it's not, nothing, no
Real
broken
broken.
bones, nothing that needs my professional help. But then my wife is figuring out ways that she can help them feel better so that come Monday they're ready to go back to practice.
Mm-hmm.
So she started doing all kinds of stuff at home, whether it was oils or poultices or supplements or different things like that to just try to help them get better. And one of the interesting things for me professionally has been, in orthopedics, I take care of people of every flavor that you can imagine. I take care of little kids that have fallen off of a swing set and broken their wrist. I take care of teenagers. I take care of young adults and older adults and senior citizens that have fallen and broken their hips. And so I see people that are all the way through the stages of life But then I also take care of people that do everything you can imagine. So people that sit at a desk all day, people that work in a field, people that are climbing ladders and telephone poles, people that are athletes, that their job depends on their physical performance. And so seeing all of that, I could see a big difference in how people recovered, how quickly they recovered, and how reliably they recovered based on some factors like nutrition, like their overall health. You know that the more medical problems you have, the harder it is for you to recover from an injury, to recover from surgery, to recover from an illness. And it's not just, well, diabetes makes it hard. No, diabetes means that there's parts of your body that aren't working properly.
Exactly.
And the more of those things that you add up, the harder it is for your whole system to function properly. And recovering from an injury or getting over an illness means that you got to get all these things back in line. And so professionally, I recognize the value of keeping all of your systems working. You can't keep them working perfectly, but the closer you can get to working perfectly, the more resilient you are, the faster you bounce back from setbacks. And so I recognized that for myself, and then decided like I need to take care of myself too. I'm going to teach my kids what I know so that they're healthy, but also my wife and I started doing things more ourselves because we're like, okay, we don't want to just coast for 20, 30 years and then get to our 50s and 60s and have all kinds of prescriptions that we're having to take and not be able to climb a flight of stairs. Like those are big problems. And if we can take some simple steps early on to minimize or prevent those, then that's worth doing.
Exactly. I think that's where, I see a lot of people that are just our age. We're in our 50s, but I see a lot of people that can't hardly get around at our age, which is crazy to me. And I'll think, oh, they must be in their 70s, but they're really still in their 50s. And so like the food, really paying attention to those kind of things are very important. And like not being able for the kids not to be able to have protein, that has been its own challenge, to have to work through that. But then being able to make sure they have the nutrients they need on the other side of that as well. And then I have celiac, so like we've got all these weird craziness things. And so like we've really had to try to be very, very intentional about how we take care of ourselves. So it's been huge.
Well, and I think sometimes when those obstacles get thrown in your way, whether it's celiac or PKU or this or that allergy, that you have to make a choice. You can either turn to someone else and expect and ask them to take care of it for you, or you can dig in and figure things out for yourself. Figure out what foods should I not be eating, what other things can I do to make sure that I'm taking care of my body the best that I can given this situation that I find myself in. And I think the more people can educate themselves, the more they understand what the options are.
What have y'all seen, like raising your kids, like being able to see them go from one phase? Have you noticed a difference in like the eating less sugar, like how that helps the kids to feel better and things like that, or like drinking more water instead of drinking Cokes or whatever? Like, did y'all see a shift, like as y'all changed some of these things, and like how some of?
So when you make abrupt changes, sometimes that's hard. And when my oldest kids were still in the house, it wasn't like we had this epiphany or one day everything changed, but we started realizing that drinking sodas was not really a good idea for any real reason. Like they're bad for your teeth. They've got tons of sugar. Who knows what else is in there? And so we just slowly started eliminating that from our grocery trip. And occasionally we would still get a Coke or whatever when we would go out to eat at a fast food place or a restaurant. But then we gradually just started saying, don't get a Coke, don't get sweet tea. You can get lemonade or you can get water. And so then it just kind of became natural for our kids to just order water whenever they were out at a restaurant. And we don't even have that stuff in our house. I mean, occasionally, like we're having a Super Bowl party
Yeah.
or, a party for a big football game, national championship or something, then, we'll get Cokes and pizza and that kind of thing. But on a day-to-day basis, like we don't even keep that stuff in our house.
Yeah.
And so now my younger kids, it doesn't even occur to them
Yeah.
that
That's
that they
the
should
kid
get
do.
a Coke with their hamburger or their chicken fingers. Like they
Yeah.
just get water.
Yeah.
And so I think if you can just kind of make things normal and expected, then you kind of forget that, like, I don't even care about getting a soft drink anymore.
Yeah.
And we don't buy cereal anymore because cereal is just full of a bunch of junk as well. Sugar and all kinds of food color. Now it sounds like maybe people are making enough noise that they're taking some of the food dyes out of our food. We'll see if that gets anywhere. I'm not going to hold my breath.
No.
But so my younger kids now that are still at home, their expectation for breakfast is, maybe I can get some yogurt out of the fridge and add some granola to it, or I'm going to make myself some eggs, or, I'm going to make myself some oatmeal, because we don't have cereal on the shelf.
Yeah.
My older kids, they probably grew up on cereal, but we don't even buy it anymore.
Yeah.
And so I think some of that is just kind of this slow drift over time of just saying, I'm just not going to do that anymore.
Yeah. And I think that was like our biggest shift when our kids were little, because they couldn't have the protein. Then when the oldest ones were young, I mean, the cereals were the easy things, it was easy to, like, they couldn't have really a whole lot of milk either. So like, here's a bowl of cardboard, for you to eat.
Yep.
And so it was really funny. And so like now we don't keep cereal either. And so the kids don't even think about it. Like we don't keep candy or cookies or all of those extra things. And it's just like they just naturally learn from what you're doing, that you're making these changes, and they just naturally learn that this is the expectation of what to do.
Yeah.
So you've got like 5 gazillion boys.
Yep.
And so you feed them gobs and gobs of protein.
It's ridiculous.
And like, how do you make sure that they're getting like all of their needs? Because that's one of the biggest things, like making sure our teenagers are getting all of their nutritional needs that they're needing to meet, which your boys play ball.
Yep.
And like they're busy all the time. So like making sure that they get all of their nutritional needs met. Like, how do y'all make sure that or you just hope for the best? Because I mean, they all eat a lot.
Oh yeah. My boys definitely can put away some protein. I mean, I think it really comes down to a couple of things. One is helping them understand why this matters. If you just tell people that you have to do this without explaining why, then they're only going to do it while you're watching. And so I explain to them why protein is important. My wife explains to them why protein is important. And then when we're making food, we'll talk about, okay, we're going to do this instead of that because this is better for you. This is healthier for you. And then I think you have to model it yourself. If you're telling your kids to do one thing, but you're doing something totally different, then they're going to see right through that. Like, kids don't have a hard time seeing hypocrisy at all. And so if you're not doing it, so I mean, like, I don't have cereal or whatever I have yogurt, or I make scrambled eggs or fried eggs. Like, that's my breakfast. And so then all my boys are like, well, that's what you have for breakfast. Like, that's what's, and then some of that's just what's available, so we don't give them a bunch of sweet stuff as an option. So if they're hungry, then they're going to make something good. And if they don't feel like making it, then they're going to go hungry. The funny thing is that sometimes the younger kids, like I've got a younger boy who watches his older brothers and sees how much food they put on their plate or how big their sandwich is. And he wants to copy them because he is motivated by the same things, but he doesn't have the appetite for that. And so it's funny to see how he's wanting to do it. And he thinks, he sees that it's important. But he's still not the same age.
Yeah. Well, that's what is weird for us, because like not being able to have too much of the protein. So then we have to look at other ways of getting some things in. So we eat a lot of avocado.
Yeah.
It's healthy fat, but it don't have protein in it.
Right.
And so we eat that like it's just going out of style.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, we may have like a half of an egg
Mm-hmm.
just so that there's not so much protein in that. So, like, I can take one egg and like split it up 15 ways if you want to, and
Right.
like, everybody has it. But then, trying to make sure that there's plenty of other, like, tons of vegetables and tons of fruit and tons of all this other stuff that can kind of keep them moving and not losing any of that nutrient,
Right.
capacity. And everything.
Well, and I think one of the real challenges is that healthy food is not always as convenient.
No.
I mean, if we're going to go out to the ballpark for a Saturday because we're going to be there for a doubleheader, or we've got kids playing, in a tournament or something, it's easy to just say, well, we'll just get something at the concession stand.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're going to pack a cooler and put, carrots and string cheese and strawberries and, a sandwich for lunch, like, you got to plan all that. You got to carry it, and things go bad. Apples get bruised and peaches get bruised and, things. So you have to just be more intentional, and you have to plan more if you want to incorporate those healthy things.
Yeah.
And the convenience things are just easier sometimes.
Oh,
if you're on the go and you didn't realize that this was going to happen, I mean, we still go through a drive-through from time to time. We still get, potato chips and, things like that. But it's not something that we lean on a daily basis, so.
I think that was the biggest shift, especially when you're super busy, and like football season, we're like running like crazy people. So it's harder to really be intentional and to think, and we drive, 5,000 miles to get to wherever. So it's a lot harder. Like, I have to be very intentional about, like, okay, I'm gonna put this in the crock pot, have it ready, when you get home at 9:30 or whatever.
Right.
And so that's a challenge, but then being intentional and always thinking and being aware of that is always a good thing. Do y'all have a do y'all plan out your meals typically, or do y'all just kind of like go for
So my wife usually does most of the meal planning, and she is a rock star when it comes to meal planning. She tries to make as much of our food at home as possible. Sometimes it just doesn't work with the schedule, but she'll do crock pot meals if she knows that she's going to be gone for 2 or 3 hours in the early evening because someone's got to be on the other side of town. Then she'll try to do something early afternoon so that it's ready whenever we walk in the door, whatever time that might be. If we're home, then she's going to make something fresh that day. One of the most interesting tools that she has started to use lately is ChatGPT, which, you can do all kinds of stuff with ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of people use it for very frivolous, just kind of asking simple questions. I know my kids do. They ask it weird trivia and stuff like that. But it's capable of doing very sophisticated things. And one of the things that she has started doing is, usually she'll do it on the weekends when she's got a little bit more time uninterrupted, is she'll sit down and she'll say, okay, here are my protein goals for each meal. Here are my carb and fat goals, calorie goals, like whatever. She can tell it, these are my goals. These are the types of foods that my family likes. These are the type of foods that my kids do not like. Help me make a meal plan for the week. I want breakfast, lunch, dinner, a snack in the afternoon. I don't want prepackaged food. I want stuff that's, just fresh ingredients that I can make at home without any crazy ingredients that are going to require going to 6 different stores to find. Like, give me something that I can buy at any grocery store. And it'll spit out a meal plan for her. And then she can also tell it to make her a shopping list. So it'll take the meal plan, and she can tell it how many people she needs to feed. So I've got kids that are in college. We've got other kids that are out of the house that live locally. And so if they're going to come over on a Sunday, then we have to feed more people than we might on a Tuesday night where the college kids are busy and it's just the kids that are in the house that are home. And so she'll say, okay, this Tuesday meal needs to feed this many people. this Sunday meal needs to feed this many people, and it will adjust the quantities.
Yeah.
And so it'll spit out a shopping list, and then she can go to the grocery store and get all of that stuff. Now, it doesn't work when the locusts descend on the pantry and they
This is
start
true.
taking stuff that's earmarked for next week. So sometimes
That's
that
very true.
creates some chaos. But
Yeah.
ChatGPT has been
It-
fantastic
it's
to
the
help with
greatest
meal
thing
planning.
ever. Yeah. I'll do like that, and like having to make sure that I'm staying within our protein levels and all of that kind of stuff. Then I can say like exactly how much of this thing can they eat for this particular meal. And it's amazing. Like,
Yep.
it has been like, it has helped so much because it cuts out a lot of time
Yep.
to have to deal with a lot of that stuff.
Yep.
So on a whole nother little level,
Mm.
so you've got how many children?
I have 11 children.
11 children.
11.
And all from the same woman.
Yep, one at a time.
One at a
No
time.
twins or triplets. Nothing. No one's adopted.
I mean, when she says that Michelle's a rock star, like,
Oh,
my
yeah.
word, like,
She's one of a kind.
she is totally one of a kind. Like, she can do anything ever.
Yep.
And like, even in one of my breakdown moments when I'm like losing my mind, she still was like, it's okay. We're gonna
Yep.
keep on going.
Yep.
She is wonderful. So, so we've known each other for 10 years.
At least.
At
I mean,
least now.
because
Skyly and Grace were born.
Yep. And
Sky
she's
was-
10.
Yeah.
Grace is 10.
So like they had just, like, she was fresh off the press, and
Mhm.
Skyly was, I think, like 6 or 7 months old.
Hmm.
So like a very long time.
Yep.
And so what are things you've done over like some of your, like, he coached football and soccer
Hmm.
and
Yeah, so we've
other kind of-
homeschooled our kids. And one of the joys of that and challenges
Mhm.
is that when you homeschool, there's not a structure that you are dependent on. And
Mhm.
so with like sports, it's all of the moms and dads that are volunteering to just say,
do the
yeah,
thing.
well, we'll do that. And so whether it's football or basketball or soccer or cheer or track or whatever, it's just, all right, we're going to chip in and we're going to see if we can't get this thing done.
Do the thing.
And sometimes it works out great, and sometimes it's a little bit of a flail.
Yeah.
But it's just given me opportunity to kind of step into roles that I probably wouldn't have otherwise.
Mhm.
Like, I had zero aspirations of ever being a football coach. The only reason that I got involved was because as a doctor, I was like, okay, well, football, people get hurt,
Mhm.
and you never know if it's safe to go back on the field. So I showed up in practice and told the coach, hey, I'm a doctor. I'll help out. I'll be here on the game nights for sure, and I'll
And
just look at
super
kids.
excited about that.
Oh yeah, they were thrilled to have me there. So it was great. But then after being part of the team for a couple of years, if you stand too close,
Exactly.
someone's going to give you a job.
Exactly.
And so they started asking me, hey, can you help out with this? Can you help out with this? And the next thing you know, I was asked to be the head coach. And so I did that for a few years and then passed it off to another guy that was better equipped to do the job than I
It is
was.
better.
Well, he was more willing. He had more time.
Willing.
But no, he's done a fantastic job.
doing
He's still doing that job. So, but yeah, and then I also had a daughter who coached soccer, and the team, the coach before me had a daughter that was on the team, and when she graduated, he's like, I'm done. And so someone else had to do it.
Which is
So,
another thrill of
yeah.
homeschooling.
oh yeah,
You're
there's a
just like,
constant cycle of people coming in and out, joining and leaving, which it brings new people into your life, but
Mhm.
sometimes it creates little
little hiccups.
fire drills of okay, now how are we going to deal with this?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been fun. It's
Yeah.
been an adventure.
Yeah, it's been when I guess Allie was 8 and she started cheering,
Mhm.
and then so I guess 12 was when I started coaching cheer, and so there was many times you had to kind of like hold me down, like, okay, it's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to
Dealing
today.
dealing with teenage girls and their parents can sometimes be challenging. Yeah. Yeah.
But a lot of things we would not trade for anything.
Oh yeah, no, never
At all,
not at
because
all.
it's super fun to
Yeah.
do all the things with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so we swapped schools.
Mm-hmm.
We're all at Evangeline, which is
Yep.
super fun.
Yep.
And it's been a whole different adventure.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I love about Evangel is that there's a lot more students involved.
Mhm.
And so you have more capability, you
Mhm.
know, with more people,
Yeah.
you've got more help
More
and you've
hands.
got more participants.
Mhm.
So, you know, if you've got a bigger cheer squad, you can do things that you
Mhm.
couldn't do
Couldn't do
with
with
4 or
small.
5
Mhm.
girls. You know, when you've got enough football players, then you can play 11-man football instead of 8-man football, or you don't have to stay on the field when you're hurt. You know, you can come off for a breather. And so, yeah, there are huge benefits of
Yeah.
being in a larger organization.
Yeah.
And there are people there that are able to do a better job. You know, a lot of our football coaches played college football.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they're regular dads now with regular jobs,
Yeah.
but they did it at a higher
know how to do it,
level
yeah.
than, I mean, like, I didn't play college football. So when I'm trying to teach football skills to kids, I'm like, I'm watching a YouTube video on the way to practice, so I know what to say. But these people, they know it, they know what they're talking about. So that's been very
Yeah.
helpful.
It's been very fun. It's been the whole adventure's been fun.
Yep.
Like, it's been really cool.
Yep.
So I hope this has been fun just to kind of like see behind the scenes of like what happened. I mean, like
Yep.
a lot of times you have an MD behind your name and it sounds like, oh, they're just like this far off person over here that you can't really like
Mhm.
talk to or like interact with, but like you can just
Yep.
it's just a person.
Right.
You know, just a human. And he's raising a ton of children, trying to just survive like the rest of the world.
Doing what I can, one day at a time.
So I hope y'all have had a great time getting to know us a little bit better, and we will talk to you soon.